Hello everyone, I'm Chester44, Hassan Dennis Falai, and welcome to this Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper. Last episode, well, we finished helping out with what we could in the flotilla, and found out that, Sol, the leader of at least one of the ships, is planning on rebuilding and refitting out the ships so that they can gather as many people as they can and get out of here before the flux ruins everything again and destroys them all. Then we spoke with Peak, who said she has an idea of what's causing the flux. Some portal thing in the middle of the system, usually used for transporting vast amounts of raw material across vast distances en masse to the core systems. It's been shut off for a long time, but it just got turned back on, and something else is happening with it in order to keep going, in order to do more of this. More flux nodes have appeared elsewhere on the elsewhere, and we need to find them. So, let's see what we can find. There's one. 654. We got a 5. This node is turned inside out, its skin writhing with distorted data. There's one. Said there was one over in the docks. There it is. 564 again. Go ahead and use the 4. This node beats like a heart. The effect is unsettling. There we go. And one more. I believe she said it was in the hub, which is very worrying because the hub is a big central area. Oh, wrong thing. This. There it is. 465. Go ahead and put in the 6. This node is in 2 places at once. It is there each time you turn. Well, mission accomplished. And you know what I'm going to do, just for the sake of doing it? I know that if I do this with either of these, I get energy. There we go. Ooh, it's 3 energy. I should have saved that. No matter. I've extracted the codes. Let's get back over to Peak immediately. It's a lot of scrolling, but here we are. Peak has tracked flux nodes to there. They want the data extracted from all 3. There we go. Peak loads the data into their decoding setup. I'll be just a moment. Don't leave, Sleeper. You watch as Peak works on the flux data, the nodes unfolding like flowers now, giving in to Peak's increasingly sophisticated decoding protocols. Seeing data like this as an image on a screen is an almost unrecognizable representation to you. It is nothing like swimming among nodes and threads. Despite this, Peak has proven themselves to be more than able to handle these complex data structures, even through this limited representational paradigm. The bay door hisses, interrupting your flow of thoughts. You turn to see Esh entering. Esh! She looks up and meets your eye, but doesn't respond. Esh stalks into the bay, head down. She looks tired and not in a mood to talk. How's the weapon hunt? Peak asks, without turning from their screen. Slow, unsuccessful, tedious. Esh slams a bag down on a crate and hops up to sit on it. You still unpicking balls of yarn? With the Sleeper's help, they brought me some good stuff this cycle. Maybe they could help you find the weapons you were smuggling? It's clear that Esh doesn't appreciate Peak's tone. Still looking? Uh-huh. And whoever took them better be making the most of their rapidly shortening lifespan right now. Esh. Peak cuts in without looking away from the console. We talked about this. This is my mistake, Peak, and I'll fix it how I want. Esh folds your arms. I know one of the factions of the flotilla has taken them. I just need to find out. Shh! Peak leans in towards the screen. Son of a... What? They hid it in the wake of the wave. Peak is whispering to themselves. It's alive. They lean back in their chair. Esh crosses over to look at the screen. Alive? Well, it's growing. It's processing. It's quietly working away in the dark. Look. You cross over to the screen and stand beside Esh. In it, you can see that Peak has all 4 nodes decoded, and the pattern of shadows from inside them sit on the screen like dark stains. Then you notice it. The movement. The thin threads cross from one stain to another. As you watch, you notice that the movement only ever happens in your peripheral vision, as if this thing, this shadow, knows it is being watched. This is how the other fluxed nodes appeared. Peak rubs their eyes. They weren't fluxed by the wave, they were corrupted after the fact. This thing, this shadow that entered in the wake of the wave, had corrupted them. But it made the corruption look like the result of the flux. It's a sleight of hand. Peak runs a hand through their hair. The flux wave is so massive, so complex, that it opens up the systems to be attacked. As it reconfigures exposed systems, this shadow is broadcast in, implanted inside. The wave from the Khan channel, it is a brute force wave hitting every system in Helion. Once the systems are vulnerable... Peak looks pale, their eyes reflect the screens. The flux isn't what it's attacking the systems. It is the siege weapon. A Trojan horse. Then this thing takes over. Peak sits back in their chair. And it's already on the eye. Wait. You're telling me there's a Khan channel in this system? Okay, Esh, catch up here. Shit. Peak isn't listening. This is bad. We have to take this to someone. Peak looks desperately at you. Helene. Is that wise? Esh cuts in. Havenage haven't exactly made good decisions lately. They are the station administrators, Esh. They need to know. The argument rages between them, and as you watch them shouting, you feel sick. After a while, they stop, running out of things to say. An unsettling silence descends on the bay. I need more time. I need to look at solutions, try to build a case, collate the evidence. We mess this up. They look down at their hands. Esh goes to speak and then thinks better of it. Not a word, Sleeper. Peak meets your eye. Don't tell anyone until they are ready. With the tension among the refugees, Sol won't be ready to hear this, and Helene and Havenage are still mired in some kind of crisis. We tell Havenage they are likely to react badly, and even with the flotilla stabilized, Sol is also not going to react well to this. I need time to build a case. You are too twisted up in this, Peak. This is not our place. We don't owe... Stop, Esh! Stop. You leave them like that, exhausted and troubled, and head back out into the Pilgrim Seed. When you close your eyes, you think of those shadows, that movement at the edge of your vision. Something dark growing in the station like a parasite. You feel sick. Your vision blurs. What comes next? You stop in a corridor and take a breath, putting a hand on a rumbling metal wall. For now, the eye keeps spinning. For now. Upgrade point complete. The second part of the flotilla's story is complete. Episode Purge, the final episode, will begin when the clock below is complete. Peak is compiling their data on the flux to be presented to Sol or Helene. You get the sense they are dreading the choice. Well, I need one more upgrade point in order to improve. Probably Intuit is what I'd go for. 2 cycles. We can do 2 cycles. May as well gather some scrap. I guess. Oh, that used up energy. Well, that's unpleasant. I can spare time. Okay, use one of those. End of the cycle. Thankfully, it's only 2 cycles, so this should be relatively quick. In fact, I can go ahead and gather the rest of this easily. And then the remaining two two ones can be used to regain energy. One there. And one more. There we go. Into the dorm. Do the self-repair. And end of the cycle. Well, they've gathered up the information. Let's see what they have to say. Sleeper. Peak is waiting for you in the corridor. It's time. Peak looks pale and disheveled, with heavy marks under their eyes and strands of hair sticking to their face. For what? Peak smiles weakly. Nice try, but we can't dodge this. Peak holds up a thumbnail-sized drive. All the data I have compiled on the Flux event, the effects of the wave, and the structures that hide within it, is on here. You look at the tiny drive, a casket of dark secrets. I've annotated it to the best of my ability. Anyone should be able to understand the threat, the potential in this. It makes for grim reading. Without intervention, the Eye will suffer a cascading collapse of systems, just like the colonies of Earth's moons. Intervention? Peak grimaces. That I'm still working on. Peak looks at the drive. This shadow in the flux, this protocol, is so hard to pin down. It adapts to any countermeasure I have tried to deploy. It is like trying to hold water in a cage. It slips straight through. There has to be a way. Peak closes their hand around the drive. We need help, Sleeper. This is about everyone on this station. We have to set up a meeting to tell someone who can do something about this. Helene? Perhaps. If anyone can protect the Eye, it's Havenage, but their internal politics will make it hard for them to act. Will they even listen to us? Or perhaps we've been thinking about this all wrong. Peak's eyes glint. Why make a choice when we can tell both of them? Why pick a side when the only side in this entire thing is one we all need to take? Peak speaks as they think, their words barely keeping pace with their thoughts. Honestly, I agree with her there. Havenage, I've been mentioning repeatedly, specifically because Sol is already planning to leave, so he needs to build up his ships and get out of here as soon as he can. He has no plan here. If he gets out of here before the flux happens again, so be it. He has no horse in this race. He just wanted to get out. The Eye is not going anywhere. Havenage will care. Sol isn't going to care. As long as he gets out, that's fine. The Flux can continue destroying the system as far as he cares. He'll take other people with him, but that's it. Havenage aren't going to want to run. They care. They're going to want to stop it. We need to resist this together or we will fail. We need everyone on board, Sleeper. Peak smiles. That is the only way. We send the data to both. You're right. I'm glad you see it too. They look away. Another Flux event is coming, I'm sure of it, and I'm not sure we can survive without help. Peak opens their hand and holds the drive out for you to take. You need to do this, Sleeper. I can't. You know Sol. You know Helene. They trust you. To them, I'm just another spacer. But you are a part of this place. Hearing someone else say it hits you hard. You are a part of the Eye. Peak is right. But right now that feels more like a weakness than a strength. I have set up a data relay at the cordon. It's neutral ground. Take the data and send it out to Havenage and the flotilla. Once they receive it, they will come. We can be sure of that. You will meet them there and take them through it all. No one could do a better job. They tuck a strand of hair behind their ear. Come with me. I can't. It would only draw suspicion on you. Havenage wants nothing to do with us, and Sol is paranoid at best. Peak tentatively puts a hand on your shoulder. Thank you, Sleeper. I know this is hard, but we have to move forward. We can't keep this to ourselves anymore. They step back, looking thin and pale in the harsh station light. Come talk to me once it's done. And they slip away into the Eye. To the cordon, then. Once you send the data, Episode Purge and the final series of events on the Eye will begin. After this point, you will not be able to return to complete other drives or find other endings. Make sure you are ready. We've done everything else. We're ready. Peak's relay lies ready. This is it. This data is a ticking time bomb. Once it is sent, there's no going back. Peak's relay pings a confirmation. The data is sent. Now all you can do is wait for the response. With the data sent, the only thing to do is wait. As you do, you imagine Helene receiving the data, perhaps in the middle of some Havenage Council meeting. You think of her trembling hands as she slips out of the room to read it. Her reaction you can't predict. You imagine Sol, too, one of his crew finding him in some corner of the Pilgrim Seed, overseeing the modifications that will turn it into an Ark. Those sharp eyes scanning the data, looking for a way to proceed. The wait draws out, and to pass the time, you watch the activity beyond the edge of the Eye. The scrap shuttles pulling components from the now abandoned cordon, and the supply skiffs making runs between the flotilla ships. It isn't long before you hear the chirping of one of Helene's now familiar drones approaching the viewing platform, and then Helene herself strides into the room. Where did you get this, sleeper? Helene holds up a slate scrolling with streams of flux data as she enters. I need to know your source. A friend. You seem to have a lot of friends, Sleeper. Helene raises an eyebrow. But I need this data authenticated. I can't just... She pauses and pushes her hair back out of her face. This is a lot to take in. A shadow protocol inside the flux. The system's Khan channel starting up. A total collapse of the Eye. If I bring this to the council, they'll... She turns away. They'll believe you. Do you know what has been happening with Havenage, Sleeper? She looks away, out at the flotilla. Since the refugees ship started arriving, things have changed. It's chaos. No one can settle on a single issue, but there is division at every vote. But in the division, only one group prospers. The hardliners. Because as each councillor gets tired of the arguments, gets tired of compromise, they become more attracted to the easy answers. The flotilla is to blame. The refugees are opportunists. The Eye must be defended. And now you are telling me they brought something to the Eye that will cause its collapse? They didn't bring it. It doesn't matter, Sleeper. That is all the councillors will hear. She closes her eyes, a hand to her temple. Many of them already presume that the refugees are somehow to blame. Did someone say refugees? Sol clanks into the docking bay, grinning at the situation. Speak of the devil, and well, here I am. His suit hisses as he settles on his cane. Helene glances between the two of you, uncertain if she has been drawn into some elaborate plan. Sol holds out a hand to her. Sol, I believe we have spoken remotely while the cordon was still up. I see. I sent both of you the data. Well, thank you. He raises an eyebrow. Evidence of our mutual inevitable destruction is not much of an olive branch, but I'll take it. I'm not Havenage, Helene blurts out, then corrects herself. What I mean to say is no one person represents Havenage. That's not the idea. I did not support the cordon, and I did not support your quarantine. Well then. Anyone mind if I get myself up to speed here? He pauses, but you get the feeling he isn't expecting an answer. 1. The flux events, the very same destabilizing waves that collapsed the colonies on the moons of Ember, have reached the station. He holds up a stubby finger. 2. According to data Sleeper provided, these events are acting as a cover for some kind of intrusive protocol which is causing the real damage. A second finger joins the first. 3. This shadow protocol will do the very same thing it did to Ember's Song, Step, and Hearth, and quickly. In short, it'll shut down everything keeping this place alive. A third finger pops up. 4. This is my favorite. We have no idea who or what is doing this and why. Sol's final finger joins the other 3. Is that about the total of it? There's also another flux event coming. Of course there is. Sounds Intimidating. Helene turns to Sol. Did you manage to put up any kind of resistance on Ember's hearth? Sol shakes his head. That's why we are here. The Pilgrim Seed was the biggest ship to make it out unscathed. I suppose we didn't have this data. We didn't know what was eating up the systems. We all thought it was the flux. And I imagine you, Sleeper, and whoever helped you uncover this might be able to figure out a countermeasure. We can try. Helene nods approval. Okay. So that's the start of it. If you'll forgive me, Sol cuts in. Part of why I was able to save as many as I could on Ember's hearth was that I gave up hope early. Sol shifts his weight, his suit hissing. There were endless strategy meets, system reboots, tests, and trials, but I just got on with working on the Pilgrim Seed, with getting people on board. So when the second and the third and the rest of the Flux events hit, we were ready to go. So if I can offer you some advice, Miss Not Havenage, it is to give up on that line of thought you have, that hope, and to start the evacuation now. Right this cycle. Sol looks out of the observation deck towards the Pilgrim Seed. I've already started the process of converting the remaining volume of the Pilgrim Seed for human habitation. With Havenage's resources, I dare say we could finish the job with time to spare. Sol scratches at his beard. I know it's hard, and I know it's sudden, but you have to give up hope. We have to run. There will be no heroes here, just those that keep living and those that don't. Helene listens in silence, making calculations. She looks out at the bulk of the Pilgrim Seed, which, despite all its vastness, is dwarfed by the eye as a whole. Something flickers in her eyes. She opens her mouth to speak. She stops, frozen. Let me think. I need a moment. Helene paces, and as you watch her, you realize how young she is, and how lost she is in the systems and protocols she has to navigate. You can almost see the strings and ties that bind her, glinting like webs in the wide space of the observation platform. We purge the Shadow Protocol. Helene stops pacing. But with what resources? The data you sent me, this thing is a shadow, uncontrollable, untraceable. Perhaps with the full contingent of the Havenage Systems Department, but that would require hundreds of work orders to be overlooked, maintenance schedules abandoned. Getting that through the Council, would that even be possible? She glances at Sol, who is patiently watching, patiently listening. We have to try. Helene looks at the slate again. I will take this to the Council, force them to listen, force them to act. You both jump as someone loudly clears their throat nearby. Your eyes jump to the dark entryway that Helene emerged from just minutes ago. What a cozy little meeting this is. A man steps from the shadows, dressed in the same style of Havenage overalls as Helene. And I must say, that is some very incendiary rhetoric you're using, Counselor Helene. You glance at Helene and her face drops immediately. Kemp, she curses under her breath. Sol shifts his weight on his cane, but otherwise remains still, like a casual observer. Plotting against Havenage with an interloper. He gestures at Sol. Everyone will be so disappointed. Kemp smiles a bright smile. Some of the counselors had such high hopes for our youngest member. I, of course, never let novelty distract from the importance of experience. Helene stares daggers at Kemp. Enough of this petty shit, Kemp. You need to see this. She holds out her slate with an outstretched arm. The games are over. No more point scoring, no more lobbying. You and your hardliners need to stop. This is something real. Kemp calmly takes the slate and prods the screen, scrolling through the flux data. His face betrays nothing, but you see some complex calculation flickering in his sharp eyes. Kemp lowers the slate slowly and smiles at Helene. And what do you think this shows? Helene frowns. Don't play games. You can read. The flux is a carrier signal for some shadow protocol, most likely corporate in nature. Maybe it's Solheim re-emerging to claim their station, maybe it's a takeover, but either way the station is under threat. You are right about that, but the rest? Conjecture. Kemp rubs his chin. What we have is a virus in our systems which emerged precisely when the flotilla arrived. In fact, it times in perfectly with the mysterious event that freed them. So what I see is a hostile cyber warfare attack instigated by dissidents that fled Ember's moons after committing terrorist attacks on their own soil. That is the order of the facts, nothing more and nothing less. Facts I'll be happy to present to the Council. Kemp tightens his grip on the slate. You think that's the only copy of that data, you sanctimonious shit? No, I don't. But who do you think they will listen to, Helene? Especially after I tell everyone about this little clandestine meeting. You couldn't win power by Havenage's systems, by our laws, so you resort to this. The law is with me. It is as simple as that. He gestures, and out of the shadows, 2 Havenage security officers appear. Now, no need for that. Sol suddenly speaks up. His silence had meant Kemp had stopped paying attention to him, but now you notice he has backup of his own. A group of his crew stand at the edges of the room. They are carrying long, boxy guns. You've never seen anything like them on the eye. Glossy XPR logos glint along their barrels. These are Esch's guns. Kemp freezes and the officers hesitate, holding back in the doorway. Be careful there, outsider. Kill me, and Havenage will never forget. Sol waves a hand at him. No one is killing anyone, so let's calm down. But I am going to have to ask you to leave. Helene glances at him and he gives her a gentle nod. And you'll leave your colleague here with me. We haven't finished our conversation. Oh, you are finished, Helene. The Council will never allow you back after this. Then he turns and walks out of the observation deck, taking his officers with him. You all pause to catch your breath. Helene looks ready to collapse. Sol flexes inside his suit, nodding at his crew to check that Kemp is fully retreated. Sol wrenches part of his suit back into place, grimacing. Your friends leave a lot to be desired. Seems like support for the evacuation might be a hard ask. Helene doesn't respond. She stares out at the Pilgrim Seed once more, trying to process what's in front of her. She sighs and turns back to you both. I won't call for an evacuation. Maybe that is a fatal mistake, but I can't do it. I understand. But I won't block it either. If people want to leave, Havenage will let them. That is what I will propose to the Council. If they will let me speak. You have to try. She nods at you and Sol and turns to leave. Sol is quiet. He scratches at his beard. Good luck, he offers to the departing Helene, but she does not respond. He leans on his cane. I'll be honest with you, Sleeper, none of this changes anything for me. The Pilgrim Seed will be going in a handful of cycles, whether Havenage wants it or not. How long? Honestly, as soon as we're ready. I'm not eager to run down the clock to the last cycle. Sol puts a hand on your shoulder. There's a berth for you, and for any you can gather, Sleeper. That much I owe you. And Helene? I wouldn't hold out much hope of her coming around, Sleeper. She's too tied up in all of this. I won't let her leave even if she wants to. Well, I'd say the same about you, but you have a habit of proving me wrong. My crew will take me from here. Don't you worry. Sol straightens up. Oh, and thank you, Sleeper, for sending the data. I appreciate the extra info, and I'll see if it can help us shore up the Pilgrim Seed against any future Flux events. If we had you back on Ember's hearth... He pauses, suddenly losing his appetite for discussing the past. Of course, we are going to need all the help we can get. If you can spare some time, come to the Pilgrim Seed, help me get it ready, bring others. There's a future to be earned here, cycle by cycle. We will be leaving as soon as we are able. If you want to help us get there faster, well, you'd be welcome. He meets your eye. Well, just don't keep me waiting. And Sol limps off towards his waiting crew. You pause for a moment to let your thoughts catch up. Peak will want to hear about all this. They should be your first port of call. Agreed. And that is what we will do. Because I think she's going to be the one we're going to talk to figure out a way to fix all of this. For now, I'm going to end this episode here. Next episode, we'll speak with Peak and see what we can figure out about solving all of this. That'll be in the next episode. So until then, I am Chester44, also known as Fly. This has been a Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper, and I shall see you all next time.